Jordan Love finally speaks before Packers versus Steelers, and Packers fans need to hear this. Did Jordan Love just send a message to the entire NFL before the Packers even played their first preseason game? Because what he said about facing the Steelers isn't just about one preseason game. It's about staying healthy, building chemistry, and getting the Green Bay Packers ready for a season where expectations are getting higher and higher. And there's one part of Love's comments that Packers fans really shouldn't ignore. Jordan Love is expected to start against the Pittsburgh Steelers, and Green Bay is clearly treating this preseason opener as more than just a meaningless exhibition. But Love knows there's a fine line. You want to get some real game reps. You want to get comfortable with your receivers. You want to get the offense moving. But at the same time, you absolutely don't want your starting quarterback taking unnecessary hits in August. And Love made that very clear. He talked about the importance of staying healthy and being smart when he's on the field. He said that if he gets into a scramble situation, he's not looking to take hits outside the pocket. Instead, the goal is simple. Get the ball out, find completions, put together a good drive, and get out of the game healthy. And honestly, that makes a lot of sense, because Packers fans already know what happened last preseason. Love suffered a thumb injury during the preseason opener against the Jets last year. It was a frustrating situation, especially because the injury forced him to undergo surgery and miss the rest of the preseason. Thankfully, he was ready for Week 1. But clearly, that experience is still in the back of his mind, and that's where things get interesting, because this time, Love isn't going into the preseason trying to prove that he belongs. He's already the Packers' starting quarterback. The question now is whether he can take the next step and lead this team deep into the season. And that's exactly why these first few drives against Pittsburgh could be important, not because the final score matters, not because a preseason win suddenly changes the Packers' Super Bowl chances, but because every snap gives Love and this offense another opportunity to build timing. And there's another storyline that makes this game even more interesting. Aaron Rodgers. Yes, the former Packers quarterback is now with Pittsburgh, and that means Love is potentially stepping onto the same field with the quarterback he replaced in Green Bay. That's a storyline NFL fans are obviously going to watch. But Love doesn't seem interested in making this game bigger than it needs to be. For him, the focus is football. Get the offense moving. Get some reps, build chemistry, and most importantly, stay healthy. That's actually one of the most mature things Love could say going into this game, because the Packers don't need Jordan Love to win a preseason championship. They need him healthy when the regular season starts, and Green Bay has already made it clear that the starters are expected to get some playing time. Head coach Matt LaFleur has talked about the value of getting players mentally ready to play a real game, even if they're only on the field for a limited number of snaps, and that could be especially important for Love. He needs to feel that game speed again. He needs to get comfortable making decisions with defenders coming at him, and he needs to develop that connection with the players around him. But here's the big question. How much is enough? Is Love going to play 1 series, 3 series, maybe more? That's the part Packers fans are going to be watching closely, because the moment Love steps onto the field, everybody will be looking at every throw, every completion, every deep ball, every decision outside the pocket. And if he looks sharp, the hype is going to start immediately. But if he struggles, don't panic. It's preseason. The real goal is evaluation and preparation. And Love's comments show that he understands exactly that. He's not trying to play superhero. He's trying to play smart football. And that could be one of the biggest differences between preseason football and the regular season. In September, Love might take a chance on a scramble. He might fight for an extra yard. He might extend a play and take a hit to make something happen. But in August, there's no reason to risk the season for one extra preseason first down. And that's why his mindset heading into this game is so important. The Packers have big expectations. The offense has plenty of talent. And Jordan Love is entering another season where people are going to judge him not just on statistics, but on whether he can take Green Bay to the next level. So tonight, don't just watch the scoreboard. Watch Jordan Love. Watch how quickly he gets the ball out. Watch his chemistry with the receivers. They're trying to get their players ready for the games that actually count, and that's also why you shouldn't expect the starters to play the entire game. The coaching staff has to balance preparation with player safety. There's no reason to risk a major injury in a preseason game just to chase a few extra points. Jordan Love has already talked about being smart with his opportunities, especially when it comes to taking unnecessary hits. That mindset could be extremely important tonight. The Packers need to see Love operate the offense. They need to see him make quick decisions. They need to see how the offensive line handles Pittsburgh's defense, and they need to see whether the passing game looks comfortable. But there's another side of this matchup that could be just as important. The Steelers have a lot to evaluate as well. Pittsburgh is entering a new chapter under head coach Mike McCarthy, and the team has several players competing for important roles. The quarterback situation is particularly interesting beyond Rodgers. Young quarterbacks like Drew Aller and Will Howard have an opportunity to show what they can do, while the coaching staff evaluates the depth chart heading into the regular season. That's what preseason football is really about: competition, evaluation, and finding out which players are ready when their number is called. And for the Packers, there are plenty of young players who will be trying to make an impression too. A preseason game can completely change the way a player is viewed by the coaching staff. One big play can earn more opportunities. One mistake can create a competition for a roster spot. So even when the biggest stars leave the field, the game doesn't suddenly become meaningless. In many ways, that's when some of the most important battles begin. Another interesting part of this matchup is the history between these two franchises. Green Bay and Pittsburgh don't play each other every year, which makes every meeting a little more interesting. And this is the first preseason meeting between the teams since 2018. The Packers also defeated the Steelers in their regular season matchup last year, coming back from a 16-point halftime deficit to win 35-25. Jordan Love had one of his best performances of that season in that game, throwing for 360 yards and 3 touchdowns. He also completed 20 consecutive passes during the comeback, but none of that guarantees anything in this preseason matchup. This is a completely different game, different season, different circumstances, and most importantly, the regular season is still ahead. So the biggest thing to watch isn't the final score. Watch Jordan Love. Watch how the offense looks with him under center. Watch the young receivers. Watch the offensive line. And watch the players fighting for roster spots. For Pittsburgh, keep an eye on the young quarterbacks and how they handle the Packers' defense. And of course, everyone will be watching to see whether Aaron Rodgers actually takes the field against his former team. That could be one of the biggest moments of the night. Rodgers has already made it clear that he doesn't view preseason football the same way he views regular season games. But if he does play, seeing him line up against the Packers again would still be a fascinating moment, especially because this could be one of the final chapters of Rodgers' NFL career. So while Packers versus Steelers is officially just a preseason game, there's a lot happening underneath the surface. Jordan Love is preparing for another season as Green Bay's quarterback. The Steelers are evaluating a new-look team under Mike McCarthy. Young players are fighting for roster spots, and Aaron Rodgers could potentially face the franchise where he spent the majority of his career. That's more than enough to make this one of the most interesting preseason games on the schedule. And now the real question is what we're going to learn from it. Will Jordan Love look sharp in his limited opportunities? Will Green Bay's offense show signs of taking another step forward? Will Pittsburgh's young players make a statement? And will Aaron Rodgers actually step onto the field against his former team? We're about to find out. If you enjoy NFL content like this, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next Packers and NFL update. Because the preseason is just getting started, and before we know it, the games are going to start counting for real.